We're finally on. I've been waiting all day for this.
I know, I know. I always say great things sometimes take a little bit of time to marinate.
That's
So,
right.
Momcozy team and audience, we've just been making sure we have a lot of love because we have an amazing, amazing stream tonight,
Yes.
and a powerful conversation ahead. For those of you that do not know me, I am your host, Lelena Ravari, and host of our Momcozy Village podcast. And today, I have the incredible privilege of having Sanya Richards-Ross join us. She is an Olympic gold medalist. I remember watching her as a girl, an entrepreneur, a mother who has built this life just centered on strength and resilience and balance. And I don't know how she does it all, but seemingly she does. And she is now a wonderful friend of Momcozy. And as we celebrate our International Women's Day campaign here at Momcozy, we also want to acknowledge that she embraces how to do life her way. She has really showcased success on her terms and she lives life running her way. So today we are going to be talking about living life on winning at life on and on the track. Before we get started, I do want to play a wonderful video that Sanya was a part of. So I'm going to have the team roll that video.
Who are you? I'm an athlete.
It is Sanya's time.
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author. I'm a storyteller. I'm a mother. I'm a possibility creator.
We are MommiNation!
I used to think I had to pick one, but why choose? I'm all of it, and I choose to live it my way. There's no right way. There's only your way.
Yay.
Woo, that's right. How does it feel to just kind of just see all of those pieces of your identity and your life kind of come on screen like that, Sanya?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I think a lot of times as we're moving through life, you're just kind of doing what needs to be done, that next task in front of you. And so it was really nice to have that moment to be reflective again as I was creating that video and just reminded of all the incredible things I've had an opportunity to experience and how all of those things have shaped me as the woman and mother I am today. So it's really like, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did all those things. It feels like a lifetime ago, some of those things. But certainly very special. And I feel like it is the foundation that I stand on, to do all the things that I'm doing today.
Oh, well, it's been wonderful. So, you have this career. You're an Olympic gold medalist, you're a world-class athlete, and that's required intense dedication. And as a mom myself, motherhood also requires an intense dedication. As you stepped into motherhood, how was that similar or different to as you were stepping on the track?
So, Elena, it's funny, before I came on this live today, I saw a report
Yeah.
that's confirmed something that we've always said. So for the people who are watching who don't know what I did on the track or what event I competed in, I won 4 gold medals in the Olympics. And one of the races I competed in was the women's 400. And a scientist today confirmed that the 400-meter finals at the Olympics is the hardest race to compete in. I've always known that, but it's been proven, right? Because it's not only physically taxing
Yeah.
because you're trying to maintain top speed for a whole lap, but it's also very mentally challenging as well. And with all that being said, with the 1,000 sit-ups I did every night, with the 5 days a week training on the track, with the gym work, eating, resting, nothing compares to motherhood.
Nothing.
It did not prepare me for motherhood. And I think
Full of the
obviously
game.
there are a lot of things that I carry over from sports into motherhood, but I think what makes motherhood more challenging and equally more rewarding is that there is no blueprint, right? Like in track and field, in sports, you
Right.
go to your coach, you have a plan, and you believe if you execute that plan, you can have success. But what I've learned through motherhood is that's not the case, right? I now have 2 kids and they're both very different. You're always like making choices that you hope as a mom is going to be the best choice for them. And it's just, I feel like the stakes are so much higher. Although I thought Olympic gold was everything, motherhood has surpassed that. And
Uh,
so it's
yeah.
been an incredible challenge, and I'm always up for a challenge. So I being a mom is probably the most rewarding role I've ever had my entire life. But for someone who did the hardest event on the track, I can tell you it still does not compare to all the mothers out there who are, every day loving, supporting their children. I still think that's the hardest job.
Well, I'm glad you said that there's no blueprint for it because
Yeah,
I think that, we want a template and it's wonderful to be inspired and encouraged by people along our journey and we
sure.
have such wisdom around us. But I think oftentimes people, if they see a blueprint, they start comparing themselves to other people and they
Yeah,
may say my flavor or my version of motherhood it should look this way or
yeah,
that way. And
right.
so it's so powerful to hear someone like yourself say, hey, listen, like, ladies, this is tough stuff.
It's
I
tough
ran the
stuff.
hardest race and this is
Yeah.
really tough. There's no blueprint for this. And whatever you're doing is working and you're doing such a
Yes.
wonderful job. So I love those words of encouragement that you're offering to our audience.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as you transitioned, and you're sharing there was no blueprint to it at all. What were some of like the biggest mindset shifts that you had to make once you became a mother?
Yeah, I would say it was this idea of kind of giving myself a lot of grace on
Yeah.
my motherhood journey. Like I said, with my track and field career, everything was very structured. We literally would do the same workouts every day, and it was just improving on the Monday workouts and the Tuesday workouts. But in motherhood, it's not like that. I had this vision, Lelena, of what kind of mom I was going to be.
What was that vision? What mom were you gonna be?
I thought I was going to be a very strict mom. So I was a god mom, and I am a god mom to a lot of kids because, as you can imagine, I didn't start having kids till a little later in my life because I finished my career. So I didn't start having kids until I was 30, 31, 32. So a lot of my friends were already on their motherhood journey. I'm an aunt, I'm a godmother, and I was like really strict. And I thought, oh, I was going to be that left, 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 right, left, mom. And then my kids came and they completely had me wrapped around their little finger. I'm the mom whose kids was in the airport, like sleeping on the floor. I was like, look, if they're happy, let
Dang.
them stay. And so it was just, adjusting to the fact that motherhood was not what I expected how I would be, and that was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay to evolve and change and be what I thought my kids needed in those moments. So I think giving myself a lot of grace, which I think you don't do in sports. I think you're really hard on yourself in sports and you want to hit these goals every single day and they're, very visual goals. And so that was a big adjustment for me, being okay with not having structure and going with the flow more and understanding what my kids needed, which changed every day. And my two kids are so different. And so I would say to moms out there, like, give yourself grace. You might not be the mom you thought you were going to be, but you're exactly the mom your kids need.
I'm with you, Sanya. I I thought I came from a home that was disciplinarian, and I thought I would have that, but I think I'm a little bit of a sucker. My husband may have that on me,
Yes,
giving a
I'm so grateful for Ross because if it wasn't him, there'd be no balance,
there's
and I'd be doing everything for my kids. But thank God, he's the yin to my yang.
oh, I love it. So you're so ambitious too. I mean, just being able to work with you in these past couple weeks has been just remarkable to see you manage it all, and you wear so many hats. Um, how I think this is the $1 million question you get is how do you navigate it all?
I would say, and we'll talk more about this later, but it's really about having a great village.
Right.
And that starts with my husband. I have just the most incredible and most supportive husband. And even today, as we were setting up to do this, my husband put my son down to bed. And it's like, if you don't have that person or those people who can support you on the days when obviously when I'm away working, I'm not here. I'm not able to mother in the way that I do when I'm home. And so it really is my support system. And my husband is number one on that. We're fortunate we live close to my mom and my sister, so they jump in to help at times. But, that's really been how I've been able to still do all the things that I love while juggling everything and still prioritizing my family.
We had somebody on the podcast and she was a therapist and I think sometimes as mothers it can be scary for other people to care for your children. But she said, our children, not just, we are able to flex when we have the leverage and support of other people,
Right.
but our children grow so much when they're cared for and loved by different people in different ways. And I feel like that really resonated with me
Yes.
because I
Yes.
think, as moms, sometimes we want to do it our
Our
way all the
way.
time sometimes, but
Yes.
having people support you and having people love on your children, and having them cared for by so many different people in different ways is really important.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that that sometimes is one of the challenges that we have with mom guilt is when we
Yes.
step away from our kids is that we feel like, oh my gosh, they're not going to receive the same love in the way that we do it, or they're not going to have the bedtime routine. But I'll tell you, I have seen so much growth and maturity in my eldest son because he has that independence. Like, thank God for FaceTime. Thank
I
God for
know,
those
thank
things
God.
that keep us connected. But I certainly feel it has been a benefit when he spends time with his grandmother on both sides, or he's with his dad, or he's with his aunts. Like, it has made him, I think, a more well-rounded little boy. And for that, I'm really grateful. I think a lot of moms need to receive that because we do feel the pressure to always, we have to be there. But I think, we know that there comes a point in life when our kids are going to go out and have to be in the world. They're not going to be with us all the time. So they have to know how to adjust to different personalities and different people. So I think that's such an important thing that they pick up at a young age.
Yeah. Your story, you've been able to just live out your dreams. A wonderful, like, fairy tale on the track. There's a lot of moms out there that are feeling like they have to choose.
Yeah.
Right? This may be a season of their life where they feel like they have to choose, but
Yeah.
they may want to pursue that career. But right now, family life is the priority for them. They
Right.
may feel guilty in that aspect. Maybe they want to return to work, but what would you say to them for
Yeah.
those that feel a struggle and a pull between their dreams, their careers, and their family life?
Yeah, I know that that can be a really difficult challenge for women and for moms. But what I believe is if something is burning in your heart and you feel this desire to chase this dream and it feels as compelling as it does to be a mom and to be home, I would say it's important and imperative that you chase your dreams as well. I think that as women, we feel more whole when all of who we are is nurtured. And so I would say to the mom who is struggling, just be intentional about how you do those things. For me, what has worked for me is when I say being intentional is I prioritize my family. So I know if I have something big coming, I have this big ask, this big thing, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure Ducey and I have a day just he and I so that, I'm kind of investing and putting that time in with him so that when I have to go, and he's also learning from that too, because he's seeing mommy work. He's seeing mommy go into the world and add value. And that's also beneficial. So I think it's just for moms, just being intentional about chasing those things, setting your priorities, ensuring that your family is taken care of and feeling loved, ensuring that the thing that you love is getting the attention it needs so that it can continue to thrive. But at the end of the day, I think you have to also understand that doing those things also set really good standards and values for our children. Especially in a day and age where I feel like they think success is microwavable, right? Where they think it's all these people have overnight success. They need to see us putting in the hard work and putting the 10,000 hours in and doing all of those things. So I think we have to look at motherhood holistically. It's not just about the time that we spend with our kids, although that is really important. It's also the examples that we're setting. And that's what you do when you go into the world and you work and you add value. You're showing your kids that they too, at some point, will have to do the same thing.
And I'm assuming, just from my own experience, that you recognize what professional opportunities align with your life.
Yes, exactly.
And you are not going to say yes to everything. We had a conversation with Rebecca Minkoff, and she said you're going
Oh, I
to
love
lose
her.
out on opportunities, and that's okay.
And that's
But
okay.
we need to come from a spirit of abundance
Yes,
because there's just going to be the next one,
yes,
right on the table. Could
yeah,
you kind of speak to that? Have you had to
yes.
walk away from things,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you found that the right opportunity came along for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that obviously, whether the timing just didn't work out for me, whether I was pregnant or I was in that 3-month period, and sometimes the opportunities felt like they were so big, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then literally, a month or so goes by and you get that next phone call or that next email, and that next opportunity feels better and feels more right for you. So I certainly feel that when you are doing what God intended us to do, I think as women, obviously, to be great wives, if you're married, to be great mothers, for us, that is fulfilling a large part of our purpose. I believe that all those other great things will be added to you. So it's about coming from that place of abundance, not being fearful that if I miss out on this, the next thing's not going to come. That's so not the case. I believe that what's meant for you will always find you. And so, yes, I've certainly had that experience multiple times. I'm actually going to miss quite a few things now with this unexpected, I won't say completely unexpected, but this third pregnancy. And I'm so excited about my family expanding that I'm like, I'll get back to that stuff as soon as I can. But this is going to be another special season in our lives.
Oh, it sure is. And there's so much richness that comes with your family growing. And
Yes.
I always say, I think there's a phrase that when a baby is born, a mother is born as well.
Yeah.
And the woman on the other side is even more richer and more abundant. And so
Yes.
it's certainly a wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
journey. So we're talking about embracing our path, embracing our journey. And then it also requires a lot of resilience. Tough things happen, unexpected things happen, setbacks happen in both athleticism and in motherhood.
Yeah.
Can you share a moment where your resilience that you picked up from your athletic career carried through in motherhood and you realized I really have to grit this out and it takes resilience to get through?
Yeah, man, I was thinking about this earlier, and obviously in sports, I had a ton of setbacks, including when I was favored to win gold in 2008 and I won the bronze. Took me a long time, Lillian, to say I won the bronze. Um, and I just felt like that was my moment, and it was really hard to rebound from that. But it made my 2012 victory so much sweeter. And I was thinking about what that was for me in motherhood, and it just dawned on me just now when you actually asked the question again. And it was actually when I had, and actually while I was on the show, The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I had a miscarriage. And that was by far, and I don't want to get emotional talking about it now, but like you said, Lelena, when you become pregnant, although I was a mom already, it's like you are so attached, you become a mom again. This idea of what this child is going to look like and be like and all those things, like it just already changes you so much. And so I had a really traumatic miscarriage. And that was hard, it was hard. I remember because we told my son Deuce kind of early because he was just so excited to be a big brother. And I remember telling him about the loss, and it was just so hard. And it makes you scared about trying again and just all of those things. And so when we had Asani, my rainbow baby, like being able to push through that and try again and do all those things, I think that was probably the hardest challenge I had in motherhood. But man, what a blessing Asani has been to our family. And it was just so worth us trying again and keeping the faith, right? Like staying positive throughout that really difficult experience. So for any of the women listening who have been through that, I know just how hard that can be. But I just want to tell you to keep the faith. And, if it's something that you desire, keep trying. And in time, at the right time, you'll become a mom for the first time or a mom again. But yeah, that was certainly a really difficult time for us as a family. But I'm grateful because here we are, potentially baby number 3 on the way. And of course, baby number 2 here, and just as precious as can be.
Oh, so precious. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like pregnancy loss is something a lot of women go through and
Yeah.
go through silently. Go through
Yeah.
silently. And it for you to share that and to have people continue to hold on to that hope is really important. When things got tough, it sounds like your faith really
Yeah.
centered you.
Yes.
And is that a very important part of who you are? And
Yes.
what else do you lean on as things get tough in your life?
Yeah, I would say my faith is number one. I am a big believer that all of the gifts that I have were given to me by God. And every time I work hard and I, refine that gift, that's kind of my thank you back to God. And so through sports, that was my mantra. And that's my mantra through life. As a mother, as an entrepreneur, everything that I do is centered around my faith and knowing that it's all working together for my good. Even when I can't see it, all of this is preparing me to be to be my best self, to have success, and all of those things. So I would say my faith, and then my family. I have, and I've been very fortunate to have my original nuclear family, my mom, my dad, and my sister, who were just the most supportive people I could have ever ask for. Their love and support is what propelled me to the top of the podium. And then I got lucky to find my soulmate in college who was also an athlete, who just really understood, what it took, the dedication to be a great athlete. And he has certainly also transitioned that into being a great husband and a great father and all of those things. So, I feel like I'm very blessed when it comes to having people on earth who I can lean on, who really, really love me deep and hold me up whenever I am going through any kind of setbacks or anything like that. So yeah, I think, faith and family are the two things that I lean on whenever I'm struggling.
I love it. Yep, we can't go at it alone, and we really
Yeah.
certainly need our village
Yeah.
to really support us in all our endeavors. And as a result, you have inspired others and built a village, amazing community with MommiNation.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about MommiNation and why it's so important for
Yes.
moms to have a village.
Yes, man, like I mentioned to you, Lelena, after competing in track and field and feeling like I had done the toughest event and I had overcome it and I was the best in the world, I entered motherhood. And in the first couple months, although my mom obviously is a mom and my sister had become a mom about 6 months prior, it still felt very lonely. You have this little human being, but I was very different than my sister. My sister used to own a salon and was an entrepreneur. And when she became a mom, she wanted to just stay home with the kids. And I didn't have that. Like I still had that pull to want to be out in the world, and you feel that guilt and all those things. And so I knew that as an athlete, I felt like I thrived in community. I knew that I was my best self when I had people around me who were like-minded, who were pouring into me. And so I wanted to create that same atmosphere and opportunity for moms. And it was timed up really well, or timed up coincidentally with when, the George Floyd situation was happening. We had this kind of social uprising. And I think I saw very deeply that Black moms in particular were having a very unique experience in motherhood, especially when it came to raising our young boys. And so I started MommiNation. We just celebrated 6 years on March 4th. And it was intended to be an opportunity in place for Black moms in particular to share their stories through blogging. And that's how we started. And we have grown so much since then. We have an extremely vibrant community online. We do a Fit Mommy Challenge every year that helps us to center our fitness. We do retreats. We do monthly meetups where we bring women on to encourage our moms. And so I feel like that has been a huge passion of mine that I hoped to serve other women. And in turn, they have served me so much and helped me and lifted me up through my motherhood journey. So it's been a very special community that I can't even say I started anymore because I feel like everyone has done so
Everyone's
much to help
contributed
build
to
it.
it.
Yes,
Right.
but it's really super special.
Ah, that's wonderful. Momcozy, we have this phrase, the Momcozy Village. We created the podcast, and it's this reference to, ways we can support our moms around the world, whether
Yeah,
it's through these live streams like this or
yeah,
whether it's through events. And why do you think it's so important that brands embrace these types of initiatives, especially in this maternal and baby space?
yeah.
How do initiatives like this, why are they so important in the world today? And how do they help these moms feel less alone?
They're important because moms make the world turn. I mean,
That's right.
in every way, it's when you pour into a mom, you change an entire family. When you give moms opportunities, when you give moms resources, all they do is turn back and provide them to their children. and to their families. And so I think it's super important that brands support moms because it makes for better young people, better citizens, better families, better engagement, just better everything. I saw a stat that said the number one indicator of the joy, love, success of a child is the happiness of their mom. It's how
That's right.
supported their moms feel. And
That's
so
right.
I really do think that when brands pour into mothers, the impact that they have in communities and families is so far reaching. And I've seen that through MommiNation. There are women on our platforms who are our platform who their lives have changed so much by just being in community. They have stretched themselves. We have, I could tell you a million stories, but there's so many moms who I have seen it firsthand, how it has impacted them and in turn their families when they feel confident and supported. So I think it is one of the best things that brands can do to have far reaching impact in the community.
And it's so wonderful to see just, I think with the advent of social media and there's just so many wonderful creators out there and so many different ways to be an entrepreneur. And like you
Yeah,
said, to support moms and whatever their journey looks like, it's honestly just the right thing to do.
that's the right
I'm
thing to
not going
do.
to preach to the choir, so I love hearing you say it, of course. But
Yes.
what surprises me, and it shouldn't, but is the innovation that mothers have and that
Yes.
grit, and they will make anything work and truly solve the problems of the world. Bring
Yes.
some moms together because it's remarkable when we invest in mothers. We invest in families.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's say we go back to when you were a new mom. We have a lot of new moms in our audience, first time moms out there.
Yes.
Is there any piece of advice that you would give first time mom Sanya?
Yeah. I would go back and tell myself a lot, but I think the main thing I would say to myself is to just be flexible. I think in the beginning I was so rigid, in my thinking and how I thought things would go when it came to like how I would feed him and sleeping patterns and all of those things. And I think I would tell myself to just be more flexible. I think I would also tell myself that everything, like this saying, this too shall pass. I
Yes.
think I think a lot of times in motherhood, we're in a season or phase of motherhood and it feels so overwhelming. It feels so hard. And then you look back and you're like, wait a minute, like it's over,
It's done
And
now.
and you're in a new phase. And so that's one thing I've embraced a lot with Asani, with my second son, is no matter how hard it is, like if he's having a hard time napping, I don't let it stress me. I'm like, look, this is a season. We'll figure it out, and he'll move on to that next phase. But I think for a lot of first time moms, it can feel like, oh my gosh, like when is this gonna end? Like I nursed Deuce for 2.5 years exclusively on the
Woo!
breast. And I was like so overwhelmed by it. And then one day it was just over.
You're
you
done.
know? And so I think that that's a big part of motherhood is understanding it's only for a season and you're gonna go look back and wish that you maybe had those moments again. So don't let it stress you out. Don't make it make you feel any, depressed and all that stuff because it will
Right.
pass. That season will pass. And you might miss it.
You might miss it. Blink and you'll miss it. And I love that. My baby had colic, so she cried 7 hours a day for
Oh,
3 months straight, and I
rough.
felt like I was going bonkers. But I
Yeah,
remember everyone would tell me that, like, it will pass, it
it
will
will
pass.
pass. Yeah.
And lo and behold, one day it does. And
Yeah.
kids figure things out, and you figure things out, and
Yeah.
so it's hard in the moment, but truly, it passes so fast. So you are absolutely right.
Yes.
So our topic is winning at motherhood. What and daily habits are so important when it comes to the career that you've had, the athletics that you have in motherhood. What is one daily habit that you practice that keeps you grounded and that makes you feel like you're winning at motherhood?
I would say that my son and I we pray together every night, whether I am with him or away from him. And I think that for me, that is one of the things that I feel really good about, that makes me really happy, is that connectivity with him. And also for me, planting a seed in him that I pray will stay with him forever. that he always feels very connected to God. So I would say that prayer that we have every night is probably one of the things that I feel like is a winning moment for me at motherhood, and it's something that we've been able to keep as a consistent thing. Um, and then I guess with Asani, because he's still so young, it's
Yeah.
like he's such a loving child.
Aw.
Like whenever he wakes up, he gives you the biggest hug and kisses. And it's just I think those moments of connection where you feel like all the love you pour into them, you get it back from them. I think those are the things that really keep me grounded and make me feel like I'm winning at motherhood, is just how lovable my kids are and how polite my son is. And,
Mm,
those things I think really matter. So I would
mm.
say those are the things.
Oh, that's good fruits of your labor. So that's wonderful. All right. So we received some questions from our Momcozy Village
Mm,
family. All right. I'm going to read off a couple,
okay.
fire round at you. All right. Fitness. Getting back into fitness can be really overwhelming, especially when you're postpartum
Yes.
and you're juggling these children and you have a career. What is some advice for moms who are looking to get back into fitness again?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I remember being so judgmental before I became a mom because, it's funny because, of course, training and working out was my life when I was an athlete.
Right.
And it came so easy to me. It was like, all I made space for in my life. And then I became a mom and I was like, oh, this is why people struggle with fitness. It's like really, yeah, it's really hard to find the time. And so, I would say to the mom who's trying to get started, I would say start slowly. I think the biggest thing that we can do is set these lofty goals and then you don't achieve them and you feel so discouraged, so you quit. So it's about finding 30 minutes to whether it's an at-home workout or going for a walk or if you have a treadmill or just doing something where you're being active, but just starting slow. And I think that is where you start to set that habit and you get 21 days in and it becomes a part of your routine. And then you kind of really start to build on top of that. So, I would say it's about starting slowly, setting achievable goals, and
Hmm.
then building on that foundation.
Great. Great. Okay. If an Olympian is telling us we can start slow, then we finally have the permission to start real. I may be starting on a real like walk around the block,
Right.
Sanya, but have your permission to go for it. All right, we have another question. If you could design the perfect product for busy moms, what would it be?
If we could do that, we'd have the $1 billion product, right?
I
That
know,
we
right?
we'd be selling with Momcozy.
That's
Um,
right.
I don't know. I think one of the products that I feel like does help my life and I love so much is my Momcozy monitor that I can watch from anywhere. Like being able to kind of tap into even when you're traveling, the wireless features, all that stuff is it makes me feel connected to my kids even when they're far away. And I love watching Asani sleep, even if I'm, 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away. I think that has been something that has added so much value to my life as a busy mom. But I don't know, Lelena, what the perfect
I don't
device is for the busy
know.
mom. But once I find it, we can collab.
Okay, collab. Give me a call and we will figure it out
Yes.
together. All right. And then my last question from the community. You touched on this earlier, but if you have anything else to add, how do you stay motivated on tough days, whether you're training still or whether in motherhood? There's days I'm sure you wake up and you don't want to do what you want to do, but you got to do it anyway. I always say 7 a.m. comes no matter what, how long your night has been. That morning's coming when those children are waking up. So, how do you stay
Right.
motivated on those tough days, Sonia?
I create a vision board every year of the things that I want to achieve, whether it's with my family or through business, through my faith, all of those things. And I would say though, the thing I love about a vision board is once you've created it, it's almost like your accountability partner, even if you're not looking at it. And so I would say that that has been one of the tools that I've used since I was an athlete and now through motherhood to help me, like if I know like I'm trying to achieve this goal, even on, those days when no one's watching or it feels like it doesn't count, it counts towards that big goal that I have for the end of the year. So I would say that that's probably one of the things that I do that really helps me. And and of course, being an Olympic athlete, I'm used to delayed gratification. You're training for 3 years to get an opportunity to win gold in that fourth year. So I'm used to, what it's like to do stuff when it's boring and when no one's watching and when it feels like it doesn't count. And then you get on the track and you cross that finish line first and you realize all that work did count. So
It counts.
yeah, I would say my vision board has probably been my greatest tool to my success in that way.
I love it. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation with you. And I hear we actually have a winner for our giveaway. So,
Yay!
drum roll, please, everybody.
Bum, bada, bum, 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 bum,
Our winner for the
bum.
Air One pump is Monica Goncalves, and that's at Monica_go. You are the winner of our Air One breast pump. We are going to DM you, so keep your DMs open on how to claim your prize. And as I said, everybody, if you didn't win, don't worry. Target.com. You can also pre-order on Momcozy.com. With that, thank you all for joining us on the Momcozy Village Together We Grow live stream. Another broadcast. So we are going to rebroadcast this and put it on our channels as well as put it on our Momcozy podcast. So please, wherever you get your podcasts, download the Momcozy Village Together We Grow podcast. And remember, motherhood is a journey that is best traveled with support, and we are honored to be a part of your village. Any last words, Sanya, for our audience before we head out?
Oh my goodness, there is no right way. There's only your way.
There's only your way. All right, everybody, with that, take care and we will see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you.